Hello and welcome to the session which is all about balance. Whether you're able to stand in perfect tree posture in a yoga session, or it's just about making sure that you haven't crammed your diary too full of stuff so that you feel a bit crazy, it's all about balance. And funnily enough, when you practice balancing physically, it can also make a positive improvement to how you balance mentally and emotionally. So let me introduce you first to a little friend of mine. Her name is Babs, because she's all about balance. And she's going to demonstrate this whole concept of how we get out of balance and how to get back into it. Charles Dickens wrote The Tale of Two Cities by beginning the story with a particularly favourite phrase of mine, that it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. So how can that be true? Two things being true at the same time. And it's the perfect example to use when we're talking about balance. So let's just write that up here. The best of times, the worst of times. Or BOTWOT. Let's apply that to balancing our days and our mental and emotional health, and we can change this to things. So the best of things, the worst of things. You are incredible at, well, let's see, probably fixing stuff, like finding solutions to problems. You're probably really good at pushing on, even though you might be feeling a bit ill or a bit tired or a bit confused. You'll push on anyway. You're probably really good at getting people together and making creative things happen. You are good at lots of things. And those things that you're good at are the best of who you are. But you know what? They're also the worst of who you are. Because if you're really good at fixing, then you probably do that whenever there's a problem. Even sometimes when it shouldn't be you that fixes it, or it doesn't need fixing right now, or somebody doesn't want you to help, they're not in their mindset at that point isn't open to help. And it can mean that we get out of balance, not just with ourselves and our own energy, but with how we're relating to other people. You can probably think of times when somebody's tried to help you, when actually you were feeling quite independent and I can do this, thank you very much, and it's really annoyed you. Or they've kept offering something that you don't want and it feels really uncomfortable. It's out of balance. And yet helping is a really good thing, surely. So often the best of things, when it's out of balance, can also be the worst of things. So let's get Bab to help us. So Bab, over here is the extreme. The extreme of feeling lethargic, feeling like you can't be bothered, feeling like you don't really care. Over here, the other extreme is feeling responsible for everything, feeling like you've got to do everything, being totally on it all of the time. And here's the way that we drive ourselves crazy and get out of balance. Because we think that being over here, where we're risking burnout, we're perhaps annoying or finding it difficult to work alongside other people, where we're refusing help and we're maybe making ourselves ill, we get stuck here because we think if we stop doing that, we're going to go all the way back to lazy, lethargic, unmotivated, unhelpful, uncaring, just kind of the complete opposite extreme. Now, here's the rocket science. There's somewhere in the middle called balance, and that's where I think we all ought to aim for. So that somewhere in the middle here is a place where we are slowed down enough to be able to see the wood for the trees and not drive ourselves crazy, and motivated enough to make sure things get done and we do the best that we can. So during this session, I want you to be thinking about those two extremes in all aspects of your life, whether it's about how driven you are. It can be things like eating. Maybe you go from extreme eating, so ice cream, chocolate, chips, crisps and all of that, to, oh, I'm totally out of balance here and I really must go on a diet, and you go all the way down here and starve yourself, and you feel deprived and you feel like it's really not fair and you feel quite grumpy about it and probably have headaches and feel ill and dizzy and tired and cold because you're not feeding yourself enough and not enough of the good stuff. So again, it's not about those extremes, it's about finding the balance that works for you. So in the PDF that goes along with this session, you'll find some clues to think through these ideas. What are the different aspects of life in which you can find this area of balance and turn the worst of things into the best of things? Because when it's in balance, you're going to be in a much better place. Now, a few things to remember while you're thinking this through. One is to start to notice your drivers. Now, I'm not talking about your chauffeur, I'm talking about the things that push you into these extremes. Because it might be something like needing to please everybody else, being frightened, so frightened of letting people down that you keep pushing to the extremes. It might be something like not feeling like you've done enough all the time, always needing to prove that you've done enough by going overboard and doing too much. It might be that you feel a bit in competition with other people, that you've got to try and do as good as, if not better than, somebody that you've seen who might be a peer or somebody else doing something similar to you, or maybe somebody in the family even, might be outside of work, that you feel this sense of competition. And on the face of it, you might say, well, no, I don't do that. But actually, are you measuring? Are you watching where people are at? And do you measure yourself against that? And do you push and drive yourself on out of balance because of it? And it might be about wanting to be fully independent. So, for instance, you might be over in this extreme, thinking that you've always got to be the one to do everything because you want that sense of independence. And over here, the habit that you might get into is always saying no to help and always saying yes to the things that need to be done, saying, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. And I had an experience with my own coach about this, and I said to her, when I started to realise that I was over here in the fixing and helping department, and also doing quite a lot of work that was completely unpaid, I always try to make sure I do some of that, but if you do too much, you can't pay the bills and you get exhausted. So I realised I was over here, and I said to my coach, I really need to stop saying yes to everything. And she said to me, Pam, that isn't the problem. You're saying that you'll do it before even anybody's asked you. It's not like you're saying yes when they ask. You're offering, and you're doing that all of the time. Now that intention to help, that intention to do good in the world and to care and be thoughtful and helpful is the best of things. Thank goodness there are those drivers within us that make us want to do the right thing. But when it's out of balance, it can become the worst of things. People start to take you for granted. It takes away their independence because they don't have to fix it for themselves, and it makes you exhausted. So, becoming conscious of this middle ground. In fact, for a lot of us, it's realising there is a middle ground that can be the light bulb over your head, because we swing from one to the other, or we stay stuck in one extreme because we're thinking if we don't do that, we'll be doing the opposite. And finding that middle ground can be so sweet. It might feel weird because it's so unfamiliar, but it is a sweet place to be, and it's the healthy place to be where you're less likely to burn out. So it's really important that we say yes to offers of help, that we sometimes say no to the things that we haven't got the capacity to do, or you just really don't want to do. Do it with a glad heart or not at all. And that we don't get into black and white thinking that it's either this extreme or it's that extreme, when actually Bab's in the middle here. She's got a big smile on her face. So let's try and head for that. So have a look in the PDF, have a work through these thoughts, and be really honest with yourself about where you think your drivers are and where that beautiful moment of balance might be for you. Bye for now.